Hello and welcome to e-Pathshala. My name is Dr. Ishwar Bhatt. I am the Chief Librarian of Presidency University in Bangalore. I will be discussing with you the special libraries, characteristics and functions. The purpose is to introduce to you the concept of special libraries, what are the definitions, what special libraries are doing, what are the characteristics, what are the functions, and what are the distinguishing features, and also the range of services of special libraries. This is a very exciting field in librarianship, and I am sure you would like to learn more about it. The purpose is to introduce to you the concept of special libraries, what are the definitions, what special libraries are doing, what are the characteristics, what are the functions, and what are the distinguishing features, and also the range of services of special libraries. As is the case with many other libraries, the special libraries in the modern sense of the term began in the US in the early 1900s. There has been a difficulty in defining special libraries even at that time. So, what is a special library? Let us try to understand. One of the earliest surveys to identify special libraries in the US, which was held in 1968, used the following criteria to identify the special libraries. The first criteria is the library must stress the handling of information material rather than recreation or educational material. Number 2, generally the library is a part of the larger organization which has non-library objectives. Number 3 is the services of the library are limited to furthering the objectives of the sponsor, and the collection of the library is delimited by the subject areas of particular interest to the sponsor or the parent organization. The librarian and his staff are the principal and primary users of the library. It is their function to interpret the body of literature in the collection for the clientele. In other words, it is primarily the usage of information resources is done by the librarian and not by the user. The librarian does the information searches and provides it in a readily usable format to the user. Now, let us define what is a special library. In the early days, definitions often focused on providing information to business people, because the special library was started as a service from the New York Public Library for the sake of business people. In the contemporary literature, one way to define special libraries is by what they are not, that is, any library that does not fall into the academic, public or school categories can be called as special library. This is one way of defining. Another definition includes any library with a specialized collection, and so definitions also include any library with a specialized collection, and also, for example, you take the case of a manuscript library as a part of National Library Calcutta, so that can be called as a special library. Such definition also included subject departments within the academic and public libraries, which are not separate libraries but operate with some degree of autonomy. Consider the case of Science Library in Delhi University, so that functions with a degree of autonomy but which has got a separate collection, though it is a part of the Delhi University library system. So, according to this second definition, that can also be part of they can also be considered as a special library. See some more definitions of special library. American librarian Echelman gave the following definition for special libraries. It is organized under the sponsorship of a parent enterprise or organization which provides the funds for its support and continuance. It is assigned the mission of acquiring, organizing and providing access to information and knowledge so as to further the goals of its present enterprise or organization, where the parent organization may not have direct library objectives. Assembling a physical collection of information, knowledge and are often limited to a single subject or group of subjects or to a single format or a group of formats. It is administered by a librarian or a specialist in the subject covered or formats included. The British librarian Wilfred Ashworth defines a special library as one which is established to obtain and exploit specialized information for the private advantage of the organization which provides its financial support. A couple of American librarians by name Ferguson and Mobley define special libraries as a special library is characteristically a unit or department of an organization primarily devoted to other than library or educational purposes. I would like to underline this. He specially says that it is a part of the organization primarily devoted functions other than library or educational purposes. Special really means library services specialized or geared to the interest of the organization and the information needs of its personnel. The definition emphasizes three aspects. Firstly, the initiative for establishing special libraries comes not from the library or the members of the general public, but from organizations which notice a need to provide information service for its employees. Professor Sitharama, the eminent teacher in library information sciences of DRTC, Bangalore, prefers to use the term specialist libraries in the place of special libraries. The reason is it is a specialist who uses such libraries. It is a situation analogous to the public libraries which are used by the public, children library which are used by children, and academic libraries which are used by academics. In other words, you link the type of library with the users who are using the particular library. There are various kinds of special libraries. For example, you have the corporate library, which is used mainly by the officers of the companies, including the managing directors, executives, sales people, marketing people, research staff, and so on. You have the R&D library or a research library which is used by the research scientists. You have the manuscript library which is used by scholars and also historians. You have the braille library which is used by visually handicapped. You have the medical library which is used by doctors, nurses, and scientists. You have the military library which is used by army commanders and army officers. You have the transportation library which is used by transport planners and engineers. You have secretariat library which are used by government officers and officials, and you have agriculture library which are used by agricultural scientists. Like this, there are large number of special libraries, but each one has its own objectives and its own level of service. Let us examine what are the distinguishing features of special libraries. Firstly, the purpose. Special libraries are highly specific in purpose, and this arises with the integral role which special libraries play in serving the diverse goals the non-library organization of which they are a part. Secondly, the clientele. Special libraries primarily serve the employees or members of the parent organization. Public does not ordinarily walk into these libraries without appointment. Thirdly, they serve specialists. Special libraries serve the specialists belonging to a particular organization such as research center, defense establishment, business company, hospital, factory, government department, etc. Unlike the school libraries which serve elementary and high school students, the college libraries and university libraries which serve college students or faculty members, and public libraries which serve people of all kinds at all stages in life. Let us examine some more distinguishing features of special libraries. It has to be noted that in special libraries, both employer and the clients, or employer and the users, are employed by the same organization. User and the special librarian are employees of the same employer. In the case of size, barring a few exceptions such as NAL Bangalore, ISRO Bangalore, IARI Delhi, District of Delhi, etc. The special libraries tend to be small in terms of space, staff and collections. In most of the special libraries, the staff is very small, often it is reduced to 1 or 2 persons. Settings: most of the special libraries are part of larger organizations such as corporation, industry, newspaper office, museum, government department, etc. etc. Let us examine some more distinguishing features of special libraries. Usually, special libraries are away from public view. Since they exist primarily for the benefit of the organization's staff, they are housed in a wide variety of organization settings, usually away from the public view. Their collections are usually narrow with specific subject focus, though many libraries in business and industrial companies have built a good collection in the subject or discipline in which the organization is based, but by and large it is a very small collection but very specialized collection. Another distinguishing feature is the librarian in a special library is often supervised a non-librarian. As a special libraries work as in small units, they are attached to bigger departments such as administration, R&D, training, public relation, etc. Therefore, the special librarian is often supervised by a non-librarian of the parent organization. Nomenclature: whether seeking to be up to date or trying to remove a perceived negative connotation of library, the parent institution often will designate the special library by other names such as information centers, archives, documentation service and so on. Those things are changing again. Even in industrial setups, the information center is being reversed to libraries in many companies and settings. Secondly, whether while the major objectives of other types of libraries may encompass use for education, recreation, aesthetic or appreciation or scholarly purposes, and while some special libraries do have these objectives, the major objective of special library is a single-ended one, that is to provide information for immediate and utilitarian purposes in support of the goals of the parent organization. The information services in special libraries are certainly more intensive, though the other conventional libraries such as public libraries or university libraries also provide information services. It is in the case of special libraries, it is of a different level. For example, in a university library, as a current awareness service, if you are providing a list of articles on a particular subject. In a special libraries such as a corporate library, you may provide a more intensive service such as culling out information from various sources and provide the same thing in a digest form. Another specialty in a special library is this information specialist or the librarian uses several sources instead of one single source to provide information. Thirdly, in the specialist libraries or special libraries, you also use a lot of information from classified documents or documents which are not easily available or documents which you cull out from the confidential information of the company. So, these are some of the specialities of information services in special libraries. One of the distinguished features of special library is how to measure the effectiveness. While in the case of a conventional library or public library or university library or children's library, we have some of the traditional methods of measuring the effectiveness, such as number of footfalls, number of books issued, number of reference queries answered, number of activities conducted, number of VIPs who visited the library, coverage of library in the newspapers, or the revenue which the library has generated, or number of presentations made, or total number of new members joined. These are some of the ways in which the performance of a traditional library is measured. Whereas in the case of special libraries, it is not the way. What all matters is how much the library has contributed to the productivity in the organization, how much of time it has saved, it has freed the scientists or the officers from their literature searching work. So, the library has to directly contribute to the productivity in the organization. The organization has its own ways to measure the effectiveness of libraries. The second aspect in the case of distinguished feature of library is, in special libraries there is nothing like peak hours, lull hours and all that. For example, in a university library, Saturdays could be a bit lull day because most of the classes are not conducted on Saturdays and Sundays. The library may be having a lull period. In the case of public libraries, on Sundays and Saturdays the crowd may be more, whereas in the case of special libraries there is nothing like that. Any time could be a busy time or any time could be a lull time. It is quite possible at the end of the day when the librarian is about to leave, an important query may come and he might have to get very busy for the next couple of hours in order to find literature or find the precise information from the sources. So, this sort of unpredictability of busy time is found in special libraries. So, one has to be prepared for this sort of eventualities. Special libraries are delimited by the subjects which are related to the organization. While in a university library or in a public library, you will find books on a variety of subjects. Take a case of university. If a university has got 50 departments, you will have definitely more than 50 books, 50 subjects which are covered in the library. In the case of public library, probably whole university is covered in the public library in the bookstore. Whereas in special libraries, the collection is restricted to subjects in which the organization is engaged in. Cite an example. In the case of CFTR Mysore, most of these books will be related to food technology, though allied subjects such as chemistry, medical sciences, physiology and some technology subjects might have been covered. There may not be large number of books in the area of social sciences or arts or literature. Take a case of ISRO. Most of the books will be relating to space technology, aeronautics, mechanical engineering and in some of the related areas. I do not think you will have that many books related to literature, history, biography, travels and all that. So, most important point in special libraries, the subjects which are covered are certainly very limited, but the books will be very precise and most of the books which are required by the organization for the day-to-day activities would have been definitely found in the libraries. In a special library, the user does not do much of the information work, whereas the major part of the information work or information search is done by the library staff. Therefore, while in the conventional library or in a university library or a public library, the user training or user orientation is important, it is not the case in the case of special library, wherein the information work is done by the library staff. Of course, in the case of highly complicated or a little difficult to use source such as Science Finder or World of Web of Knowledge, the librarian may provide some training to user. In most of the cases, the user does not get orientation because information work is done by the library staff itself, and the user does not have to have that much of knowledge about the use of various sources. Save the time of the library reader, that is the fourth law of Dr. Ranganathan. It is the most relevant in the case of special libraries. According to Wilfred Ashworth, a British librarian, it is said that almost 3/4 of the information search in a special library can be saved by a good team of professionals in the library. That means you are saving a huge amount of money of the company by skilled and efficient librarians. So, it is very important the library staff are well trained and also they are competent to do the information searches in special libraries. Now, let us see what are the services in a special library. One is current awareness service. The purpose is to let the specialist know what is published latest. There are varieties of current awareness service. One is article alert service, photocopies or scanned copy of the latest articles, SDA service, RSS feeds which also helps in providing SDA service, new book alert service, information about forthcoming events, conferences, etc. Special libraries also have in-house abstracting articles, especially if we are having a large number of Indian periodicals which are not covered by the international abstracting journals and also databases. Other services are indexing service, particularly those materials which are not included in the databases, bibliography or literature service. Here when you say literature service, it is not general literature search, it is you are providing a very selective number of articles. Very precisely the articles are provided to scientists because the purpose is to save the time and not the deluge the scientists or a specialist with too many articles. So, one has to be very precise in providing bibliographies or literature searches to the specialists. And translation service, almost 80% of the literature is in English, but 20% is in other languages such as German, Japanese, Russian, Spanish, etc. So, one has to provide translation service either through in-house specialists or we can obtain translated copies from libraries abroad. Then we have document delivery service, that provide documents from other libraries when local libraries or your library does not have it. Special libraries also have press clippings service. And information research, that is very important, that is providing in-depth information searches which provide specific information using printed or electronic resources. Often this information research is conducted using several sources, and before the information is presented, the librarian evaluates it thoroughly by using various sources and comparing the result, so that whatever presented to the specialist is 100% accurate. Of late, the special librarians have been given the additional responsibility of acting as knowledge management centers. The special librarian or the information officer is given the responsibility of acting as a coordinator for the knowledge management activity in the entire organization. It includes responsibilities such as recording knowledge which is generated in the organization, whether they are printed, electronic, whether they are recorded, unrecorded, experience sharing and whatnot. So, librarian has an important responsibility in this to not only record the knowledge, but also preserve it and also make it accessible in the entire organization. He or she uses the various IT techniques for functioning as a knowledge management expert. He or she may have to build various databases, they may have to participate in several meetings, they may have to index the knowledge generated and also provide various forums for sharing this knowledge. This is a very growing field and it is a very challenging field. Since these specialist librarians are skilled in handling information and knowledge and they have the professional expertise, certainly they are the obvious choice for handling this sort of activity, and many special librarians are functioning in this very effectively. We have discussed about the special libraries. To conclude, let me state again, the objective of special libraries is to provide services to the customers who are staff and members of the sponsoring organization. The objective is to save their precious time and release their time so that they can involve in more important activities of the organization. The special librarians are involved in various activities such as building up depth classification schemes, thesauri, building micro document collection, training the users in using a bit difficult databases if any, then evaluating the various sources, building collections, literature searches, conducting information enquiries, training the staff, and translation, arranging translation of articles, document delivery, and so many things. The services of special libraries are very exciting, and I am sure that many of you would like to know more about it and also may like to join these services. The special librarians need very specialized skills such as IT skills, editing skills, presentation skills, and then classification skills and marketing skills. One of the recent phenomenon is the special librarians are also interested with the functioning of, with the coordination of acting as knowledge management coordinators in the organizations. By virtue of the special librarian's skill in managing information and knowledge, he is entrusted with this task. So, whole field is very exciting. I am sure many of you would like to join these special libraries.